And again, it's Tuesday. What can I say? Two shows, two for Tuesday. I think that's what we should start calling it. What do you think, David? Two for Tuesday?
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
Two for Tuesday for the Con-Versation. There we go. Well, first, welcome to the show, and I hope you've had a good New Year. I think I talked to you a little bit before Christmas last time, and that was for author talk.
Yeah, it was right around Thanksgiving-ish, I think.
Yes. So, how is everything going with you?
Pretty good. New Year. I'm focusing more on my writing, as trying to get everything done and put together. So I'm hunkering down, and not that I've ever really made New Year's resolutions, but I guess this year I just wanted to be more focused and try to be less distracted while I'm doing all my writing.
Well, damn it, you just took away my question. I was going to ask, was writing part of your New Year's resolution?
Yes. I've cut back from work to half time, so I'm only doing about 30 hours a week for January, because things are slow with work in January anyhow, and I usually spend a lot of time sitting around anyway. So I figured I would take a little time off so that I can spend more time at home, so I could do more writing. The problem is there's other distractions at home, like housework and dishes and laundry and the cat demanding attention. So I'm not getting as much writing as I thought I would get done, but I'm definitely getting a whole lot more than I had been getting done.
Yeah, definitely. And with all that going on, I know is weather part of the reason for the work slowing down, or?
Yeah, it's weather. It's the holidays. It's the post-holiday slowdown. We always call it at work. It's so much is done before the holidays that once January hits, a lot of stuff that was trying to get done before the end of the year is already done. So there's not as much for us to be doing in January, which is fine because the weather. I mean, it's been great so far, but oftentimes the weather is terrible in January in Northeast Ohio. So it's better to be off the road.
I can definitely see that. So let's talk a little bit about your first book. I know it is fantasy fiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, go ahead now.
Oh, I was going to say it's Necromancer's Lament. It's a young adult dark high fantasy. Got my copy right here. Turn the camera correctly. It's a wizard's memoir, and it's the first in the trilogy. Book 2 is with my editor right now, and she said that she's working on it. So hopefully, any day now, I'll get it back so that I can go through her edits, and we can start looking at getting into print. Hopefully, early spring, depending on how long the process takes for the back and forth and getting all the formatting done and all of the publishing steps that are done once the writing is finished. And like I said, I've been hunkering down on book 3, and I've written about 9,000 words in the past week. So my hope is to have the first draft done by early summer so that I can get that to her and we can start getting that edited. And if I can get to a position where I'm putting out a book a year, then I will be very happy.
Now, is this going to only be a 3-book series, or you plan on extending it as far as you can?
Well, this is going to be a trilogy, and it has a definitive ending. I actually wrote the epilogue before I finished book 2, so I already knew how the trilogy was going to end. I'm planning on doing a series of short stories based in this time frame. And one of the characters I really love that I wrote in book 2, and I'm planning on writing a single book for her. That one's going to be more of a middle grade book. I'm thinking it's going to be my Alice in Wonderland, because she's just a fun character and she kind of fits that kind of slightly offbeat story. And from there, possibly I have plans for a prequel trilogy that takes place, about 150 years in the past. So that'll just give more history and world building, but it won't impact on the trilogy. Aside from a couple of the characters, being alive 150 years ago that are currently undead in the present time.
Nothing like the undead to keep you going.
Well, yeah, they're great for continuity. It's like, oh yeah, 150 years ago when they were alive, here's what they were doing. When we meet them in the present time, they've been skeletal for the past century and a half.
Well, me and you definitely have a mind link, because one of my other questions when you were talking about that is it going to be part of are you going to have any stories continuing from this series?
Yeah,
wow.
As to what happens after that, I'm not sure. I've got other projects in mind, other worlds I want to write. There's some children's stories that I kind of started to write. I built the world. I'm just trying to figure out how to tell the stories. And I'm also working on my wife's memoir, but I'm trying to finish the trilogy before I go back to working on that, because I need to finish the trilogy. I don't want to be one of those authors that gets 2/3 of the way done and then starts writing other projects. I mean, I'd like to be one of those that gets the big movie deal and then forgets to write the last book, because I would have the money. But
Yeah.
but I would still feel really bad about not finishing the book. But the money would be nice.
Always. But is the book out on audio?
It's not out on audio. I looked into doing that. I actually started recording a couple of pages just here in my garage, just to kind of practice with it a little bit. And then I realized how large sound files are when my computer said, "Oh, no, we're done." So, what? Really? No, I'm out of memory now. Thanks for playing. So I need to get an external hard drive, and I'll probably try to get it done professionally at some point after I do it. But I would want to do a reading first. It would give somebody else something to work with, and I would definitely have to get a professional sound editor, because I tried doing the editing while I was doing it before, and I need somebody who has a better idea of what they're doing to put together anything that would be anywhere close to a professional grade.
Well, I was going to say, I know a few people that I could probably hook you up with.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Definitely. Matter of fact, one just popped into my head, and I'll have to send you his information.
Oh, nice. I would like to look at that. Yeah, the tricky thing is, I mean, having written the book, I know the characters, I know their voices, and since I created a whole language for magic, I know how to pronounce the spells too. So I would, even doing an audio version of just, doing an audio of just that language to give, whoever is going to be reading my book an understanding of how all those odd words are supposed to be pronounced.
That's the hard part, especially with the names.
Oh yeah,
the names, especially in fantasy, because you have the strange names.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. I was going to say I wouldn't know anything about that though.
No. Yeah, I try not to go overboard with it. As much as I like the strange names, and including a couple that are a little harder to pronounce. I actually put it in the book as two of the characters are trying to figure out the proper pronunciations of these other people as they're talking about them. So I break it down syllable by syllable as the two of them are discussing. How do I say this name properly? And then it's like, oh well, this is why everybody calls her by a nickname, because they can't pronounce her name either.
That's one of the biggest things right there. So what was your inspiration into getting started with writing?
Well, I've been wanting to do it forever. The first story I wrote, I was 7 years old, and even then I couldn't figure out how to end the story because I was 7 and had no real training. And then I just got caught in with other things, and I've been telling stories and world building and making characters for years. I've been playing D&D for over 40 years now, And so I've had a lot of practice in doing that. But just actually putting things in writing, I'd never quite gotten around to it. I've gotten my notes for the world building. I've got what I've written for the characters, but to actually write a book it's like, well, that's something I would like to do, but I don't have the time. And then I was back in college, and I certainly didn't have the time because I was doing all of those papers. And then when I finished my master's degree, after writing all of those essays, all of those research papers, and typing for 7 days straight in order to get 70 pages of papers out, I said, I need something creative. I want to write for fun. I need to let this out. And so I just started doing a few things here and there. And I wasn't really planning on it becoming a novel, or especially not a trilogy at the time. It was just, I needed the outlet. And then things started to pull together into something a little more cohesive. I went, I think I might have a novel here. I think I might have a trilogy here. How am I going to do this? And so I just started writing, and I was going at my own pace because I wasn't on a clock. I didn't have a contract. So I spent about 7 years actually writing the first novel, Necromancer's Lament, because I just wrote in my spare time whenever I had a chance, and a little bit here, a little bit there, and then it eventually pulled itself together.
Now, we talked a little bit beforehand. You plan on trying to come out with a book a year. Do you feel like you've rushed yourself in doing that, or do you?
No, I feel like because I've got the first book out, and I've had a lot of people clamoring. It's like, well, when's your second book coming out? When's your second book coming out? Like, when my editor's done with it, my second book will be out. In my mind, it's done, it's ready, but I need her say so, and she's really good at finding plot holes and story holes, and she has a real knack for phrasing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her notes on it and her comments, and any changes that she might make that will definitely make my book sound better and make more sense. So I know she's going to do a fantastic job on it. I just wish she would go faster because I'm impatient. But as far as wanting to put out a book a year, it's because I already have a book out, and again, I've got people wanting my second book, and I don't feel like I can take 4 years to write a book anymore. Now that I've got something out, people are going to want something new from me. So I have to push forward. I have to pace myself a little more and focus a little more, rather than, I'm just kind of writing whatever, whenever. So, when's your next book coming out? Oh, I don't know, about 3 years. All right, we'll see you in 3 years. I don't want to talk more. That's a good way to lose an audience.
Yes. Now, you do go to conventions. Can you tell people when your next convention will be?
My next one is going to be at Expedition Elsewhere in Akron. Trying to remember the exact location because it's part of Oddmall, and Andy does a lot of different locations in a lot of different areas, but mostly in the Akron Canton area. So I don't remember exactly which building we'll be at for that one, but that'll be at the end of February. And then I've got Fantastic Con in Toledo, then at Cleveland Concoction in Aurora, Ohio, which is about halfway between Cleveland and Akron. And there, I'm trying to get into Author's Alley. If I'm not in Author's Alley, I will be there in the gaming section, just playing games all weekend instead. It's like if I make the list for Author's Alley, fantastic. I will love it. If I don't make the list, then I'm just going to go there and play games for 3 days because I love Cleveland Concoction. They were doing every March, and the COVID shutdown happened a week before their convention in 2020, and so this will be the first time they've been able to come back from it because they just haven't been able to put anything together because it's like, we're getting ready to try and restart, and the Delta variant hit. All right, let's try this again. It's Omicron. Come on, let us have our little convention already.
Well, where can people find you online?
You can find me online at my name. It's www.davidfburlog.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Mithron Shade and Instagram at David F. Burlog. So I try to keep my name in things. When I was doing the Twitter handle, I was new to Twitter and trying to figure things out, and I tried to go for a longer handle until I realized that there's limited space. Oh, okay, I can't do all of that. Let's just kind of crunch it down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I went with Mithron Shade because my main character is Mithron of the Velvet Shade, amongst other self-important titles, as he puts it.
There you go. But want to thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was always fun.
And for everybody just joining, check out where he said you can locate him at. Check out his book. And we shall return on Thursday at, I believe it's going to be 12. It could be 11. Sorry, I don't know the times, but that will be the conversation. And then that night at 6 p.m., we're going to be interviewing Larry Kinney, the voice of Lion-O for Thundercats on the Con Hour.
Ooh. Yeah, send me a link to make sure I'm in for that one.
For sure. But
because you're Central Time Zone, I'm Eastern Time Zone, and I've missed a few things because I was in the wrong hour. So.
Oh, well, we'll definitely have to get you caught up with the time zones there.
I'd appreciate that.
But everyone, until our next show, adios.